Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tower Babble podcast. As always, I'm Julian Mush. I'm joined by Jeremy Cozier.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about the latest in film and television news. Specifically this week, we've got
your president hand.
That's right. I'm doing the non-pointing thumb thing. And you can see that, too, if you join us live. You can watch us live on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Twitter at Tower Babblecast on all those sites. And anyway, what are we talking about this week? We're talking about Jeremy and I are live again, by the way, from this in the same room, which is kind of nice. We're going to be talking about the Book of Boba Fett trailer. We're going to talk a little bit about Dune. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the latest trailers, the Lightyear one specifically. We want to touch on. That'll be fun, and a few other things. Before we get to that, though, again, I'll just remind everyone to follow us on all their social media platforms of choice. Facebook changed their name, so it's no longer.
Wait, is it just the company?
Yeah,
name?
no, I'm
it's
just
not going to be the app, right?
No,
way.
The app is still called Facebook.
They'll never change.
Yeah, because old people use Facebook, so they couldn't change it. They wouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can still find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TowerBabblecast. You can head over to Twitter. That's my preferred methodology of talking with everyone who listens to the show at Tower Babblecast on Twitter. And head over to the website towerbabble.ca to find everything that we do, including our spin-off show, Small Screen Star Wars, where Rachel Wilkinson and I and other guests review the latest Star Wars stuff that comes to television. So obviously Book of Boba Fett, we'll be talking about the trailer today, but we'll be breaking down every single episode live weekly when that's coming out. And I believe it's 29th. Is it the 29th, 27th? I should probably get that
breaking
down.
It down live as you're watching it.
Well, no, the review will be live. The review will be live, but the episode
it'll be like the next day.
Yeah, that's right, because the episode goes live. And listen, I'm not gonna get into this again, but I still think that Disney Plus should figure their shit out and not have their episodes premiere at midnight on Thursday or whatever. It's gonna be probably Tuesdays or whatever it is, because it really only serves people on the West Coast, and that sucks for everyone else. So
when will you be watching it?
The next day, like everyone else does.
Well, then you can choose whatever time that is, at least.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. I would
early as possible, basically.
So I have watched it at lunch, like when the Mandalorian and stuff was coming out. I would watch it at lunch
on your phone.
No, on the big TV behind us.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, you don't go anywhere, right?
No, I work from home. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. I wore sweatpants all day today.
Right. I nap from home. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about a few things before we get into all the stories. I do want to address one thing that has been some questions about our patrons. So you can support the show over at patreon.com/TowerBabblecast. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to free content, bonus content that's exclusive to Patreon, specifically the film club that we do monthly. Last month was Point Break. Really fun. So Jeremy and I and Rachel Wilkinson from Small Screen Star Wars, we all got together and we talked about Point Break, the 1991 film, we don't talk about that remake.
Well, we haven't seen it. We can't judge it yet.
It doesn't exist to me. All I'm saying is that I really, 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 really liked Point Break. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Really enjoyed reviewing it with you guys, so I think that's highly worth $5. So check that out. There's a lot of back catalog film clubs you can check out there as well. But one of the things that we've been getting, because as a Patreon subscriber, you get access to our Discord channel where you can chat with us and other Tower Babble Discord members, is where's Dan? There's kind of been this gap that people have noticed. It's not hard to notice. He's decided to step back from the show for personal reasons, which was the line that he wanted us to tell. Just specific. We didn't want to get into details, and we're not going to. But he definitely appreciates everyone who's listened and all that kind of stuff. The door is not closed for future appearances, but for now, he's taking a step back from the show. So that's the story, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is for now. And we'll keep working at the podcast, keep making it good as we go here, and hope that we'll be able to fill his shoes as best we can. Unfortunately, the timing's not great because Dune just came out, and I know everyone was excited to hear his Dune review, but he's not going to be able to provide that for us. So we'll do our best once Jeremy's seen it to talk about it. It's a very complicated movie. and it is hard to talk about. So I understand why people might be confused by that, but we'll do our best, like I said. So that's that. I will also want to quickly touch on. I went to Winnipeg Comic Con this last weekend.
Right.
Okay. And it's been a while. It's been a wild ride here in Winnipeg and around the whole Comic Con situation. So we used to have a thing called C4, which was Central Canadian Comic Con, and to be honest, this version of it is not much different. It's very similar. It's very similar. Same venue. It's at the Winnipeg Convention Center and all that stuff, but a little bit smaller. But again, normal because of COVID. There wasn't one last year and all that kind of stuff. But even before that, C4 had announced that they weren't going to be able to continue. There was this whole thing about the cost of the venue, all this kind of stuff. It was sad, kind of tragic, and we're like, oh, now what's going to happen? But this new group stepped in, and they brought in a couple interesting guest appearances. Again, considering COVID, it's hard to bring guests in, especially over the border, right? But the big one that they had was Q from Star Trek. Specifically, yeah, and
wasn't it one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings?
Also, he was there as well. Yes.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. No. I'm not gonna.
Was it Pippin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're Jeremy. I don't want to short sell anyone.
Pippin dirty.
I don't want to. Yeah. You're like whoa. Let's talk about the. It was John Delancey who was the big draw. I think personally, it was the big name.
Q is what you're.
That's Q.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he sat down. I was there on Saturday. He had a half an hour appearance where he just kind of like a
Saturday
Q&A.
or Sunday?
So I was there Sunday. I said Saturday?
Yeah.
I meant Sunday. I was there Sunday. There was a half hour appearance. He actually sat for an hour and answering questions.
Sitting there.
He was answering questions. And so there's two things, right? So he obviously has like a big influence on Star Trek in the sense that he was on the pilot and then people love Q as a character and all that stuff. But he's really not on the show that much, right? Yeah. So he doesn't really have like a lot of insights into like working on the show.
Just riding the wave.
He was just kind of riding the wave. He was, and like he talked about how he was, why he was cast because he was originally on Days of Our Lives. He was originally like a long time soap opera guy. So one of the guys on Star Trek said that he was in the hospital and he was watching Days of Our Lives and he made him laugh, and that's why they really wanted him to appear for the role and all that kind of stuff. So they jumped in. He talked about that. And he also talked about, which really connected with me, and this is why I just wanted to mention it before, was he talked about how he's dyslexic. Now, I have not diagnosed dyslexic, but I'm pretty sure by the fact that I just said Saturday when I meant to say Sunday, that I am dyslexic. And so he talked about some of the stuff that, like, again, resonated with me. He talked about how, like, as an actor, you get your script and you have to learn it and you read it, and you there's just a process, right, in learning your lines and all that stuff. He said that for him it was always harder. Like, it took longer for him than it felt like his colleagues or other people he's worked with. And so I like that connected. I'm like, yeah, because I understand that struggle. Talked about how school wasn't easy for him, it wasn't easy for his kids. That kind of stuff. So I really appreciated that specifically from him. But I mean, it's pretty funny. There were some parts where people would come up and ask him questions like, what's your favorite this? Or what's your favorite that? And he's like, I don't have one, or I don't have a memory, or there's a lot of that, which kind of sucks. That's not great. But overall, I think he would kind of like, he would take an answer and he would like turn into this whole big stories and these soliloquies and stuff. It was actually quite entertaining. Overall, what I'm saying is it was fun to have Comic-Con back. I got a couple action figures. I got 4K Blu-ray. I didn't pick up any comic books specifically, but there was a couple that I was looking at. A lot of artwork there. But ultimately, it's just nice to be back at a con. That's kind of the takeaway there. So you were supposed to come originally, Jeremy, but you were too hungover. So it wasn't going to work. But I just want to mention specifically what I got. I got a Black Series action figure of Captain Gree, I want to say, from Star Trek.
So you
Star
don't
Wars.
even know what action figure you got. Okay,
well, I just read it and now I forgot. And a clone trooper. It's all about the trooper action figures for me. That's what it's all about. There's actually some really cool cosplay also, I got to say.
Oh, yeah, that's probably one of the best parts of it.
Oh yeah, it was really dope. There was some really good stuff. There was a really good Red Hood. There's always good Red Hoods. There was not that many Batmans this year. Not very many.
It's a tough one. You got to really pull that one off.
Not a lot of Jokers either, which is usually you see a lot of Jokers. Didn't see
a lot
that.
Of damaged foreheads.
Yeah, not of that. No, didn't see any of that.
Leto Jokers.
Not
days.
a lot of Leto Jokers. I don't know what it is.
Not a lot of Leto Jokers.
I don't know what it is. But
a lot of Harley Quinns.
There was a couple Harley Quinn. Like I was there with my girlfriend. She was like, "Why is so many people dressed up as Harley Quinn? I don't get it."
Where have you been the last
yeah, like hello,
5 years?
yeah, hello, Megan. That's her name's not Megan. That's a reference to Young Justice. Anyway, it was fun. So if you have a chance to go back to a con, I recommend it.
But what really mattered was this.
Oh yeah, sorry, I meant that. Yeah, I got 300. Zack Snyder's 300
just in time
4K
for him to
Blu-ray.
lend me his 4K PS5. For me to watch
That's
this.
right. That's right. It was actually just as a gift for Jeremy. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of 4K Blu-rays, but
I do.
are they called
a
Blu-rays
lot.
or are they just called? What are they called? Is it, like, what's the official term for the disc?
4K Ultra HD. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't. I don't know.
Because it's not a blue. It comes in a black
4K
case.
disc.
So I got a 4K disc.
Well, there's a Blu-ray inside as well.
Okay. So, okay, Jeremy,
Right.
help me understand this. So a DVD is what? 720p, 480p, something like that? A standard DVD?
I don't even know if it's 720p. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's got to be standard definition. So whatever.
480 maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then you got a Blu-ray that's 1080p.
Mm-hmm. And it's crisp 1080p, which
Right. Good for cartoons.
Today's TVs, can kind of showcase the weaknesses of that, which, most people, perfect spot now is 1440p, which is, not quite 4K, but it services, most TVs pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And now we're at 4K Blu-rays, which is, I don't even know, whatever 4K is, which I think is 280p. Something like that. Not 280, 2,860, something like that. It's 4 times
I
as.
thought it was 4,000, but who knows?
It's it's not.
What's 8K then?
4 times as big as 4K. Yeah. 4K is 4 times as many pixels as 1080p. So whatever, do the math. Anyway, 300. I think a solid. I'd like. What do you think? Solid pick.
Yeah, I mean, a visual feast. I mean, it's.
How many times have you seen it in theaters?
I want to say 3. I think it's one. I think it cracked the 3 mark because I think that's a lot. 3, twice is not common, but not super rare. Like if you like a movie, you might see it twice. 3 times, that means you really like it.
Yeah.
That means there's something going on with that, right?
I saw it, I think, 4 times in the movie theater, including one time where I was physically ill, like so sick, like I couldn't, like my stomach hurt.
Well, we all have that story when we're not where we want to be.
I'm like, I've seen this movie. Like, why do I?
A movie theater isn't the worst place. I mean, you're just you're in a chair.
What if you're farting it up the whole time though?
Oh, okay. All right. So gas problems.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying like there's worse.
Did you
like,
pay the gas bill?
We got. So I'm checking out the chat here.
Let me guess, Marcos.
Marcos is in the chat room. Always love to have friend of the show, Marcos here, asking about Comic Con. He said that he's going to the mini version in San Diego. Of course, San Diego being the home of
the Mecca.
These when people say Comic Con, they typically mean San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, you know the shape of the building that it's in.
That's right. That's
There's
right.
Always the big sign. That's
right.
The top dog for advertisement at that.
On that
moment.
one building. Yeah. They
like
think the whole side.
Uncharted 4, I think, when that was out.
Yeah.
That was on there.
Well, it's like I think PBS I think had an ad on that wall.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he's saying that he's only going because it's a small one. But he gets priority to the big one for the upcoming years. The one question I guess I have for that is, what is the future of Comic-Con? Right, everyone's moved to these digital events. Obviously, we have DC Fandom being kind of the pinnacle of those, but we've got all these versions of that same stuff. It's like the Nintendo Directs, the PlayStation State of Plays, the Disney Plus Day stuff. Like there's always a new thing. Are people going to come back to these Comic Cons? Like, are these big companies going to go back?
I don't know. I mean, I think the event will always exist because, like when we mentioned before about the costumes and stuff like that, right? Like, there's definitely a massive community who want to show up and feel that energy of that one aspect. But we always talk about like the Hall H, the panels,
that's right,
the big reveals. Like that's super exciting to kind of tune in at that moment. But if you can tune in at that moment for any type of streaming, show, then it kind of replaces that. But you're always gonna have people who go to Comic-Con and make it something, but I guess it might slowly diminish over time if major key players aren't there to really showcase the big things.
I think the future of these cons is, I think, actually the niche ones where you go to things like Star Wars Celebration, where you go to things like D23, or these other kind of like they're specifically around one specific thing, right? Whereas Comic-Con's typically been like every nerd from every corner of everything. All you anime freaks out there, and all you Lord of the Rings weirdos, and I'm just saying, you're all weirdos in our own way.
Right.
But every nerd from every stripe comes to Comic-Con and feels fairly at home, I think. Whereas, I hear when people go to, Star Wars Celebration, I hear a lot because I'm on Star Wars Twitter a lot, and people like rave about this experience, like how cool it is to be, and it's just like everyone is just amped about one specific thing. It's about Star Wars, right? And there's so many facets of it, right? And that's true for almost all of these types of things. Like you could probably, an anime convention is self-sustaining, right? So I don't know, but I would love to be able to go back in time to some of those massive Comic-Cons, San Diego Comic-Cons, and like be in those Hall H's, for those big reveals before Disney left with Marvel and all that kind of stuff. Because that was exciting shit. You were getting leaks. You're hearing people live tweeting out of those, like out of Hall H, like, oh, I'm seeing like these teaser trailers or trailers that were made just for Comic-Con. It was exciting. But anyway, yeah. And Marco's here. I'm pretty sure the new Comic-Con museum they built will have a soft opening when I go this month, so that's cool. So I guess I don't know what that is, but maybe it's like a San Diego specific, like a permanent installation. Maybe help me out here, Marcos. Permanent installation that maybe celebrates some of the Comic-Con stuff over the years. So that would be interesting in and of itself. Would you make the trip? You said you called it Mecca. Would you make the trip to a Comic-Con?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to almost like, what would you rather do? Like two big ones, where you got E3 and Comic-Con,
right?
Both have conversations around them and their their popularity,
and viability.
But like, I don't know, I might almost choose E3. Like if you think about like massive console launches, like
right around console launch time too. Yeah. That'd be crazy.
And just being there and being able to experience some of those new games that are just breakthrough games would be kind of cool. But yeah, Hall H, with the reveals of the big Marvel movies and the DC movies are just so cool. Seeing the whole cast up there, like knowing that they're going to show you something eventually, and it's going to blow your mind, and like everyone's screaming, and the cast, they look so happy.
Well, yeah,
it's so
and
cool.
You could run it. And the thing with E3 is that because it's more of like this like industry convention, or at least that's how people talk about it. I don't know how true that is in practice, but it seems like you get these stories of people like walking into an elevator and Kojima's there or whatever, and something like that. That's pretty cool. I feel like you don't get that as much at a Comic-Con necessarily. But either way, I mean, for me, like, I have to get to a Star Wars Celebration. I really want to get to one of those. They're always moving around. Like I think every other year they're in Europe or North America. So it which I also actually appreciate, this idea that they kind of aren't always in the same place. It was in Chicago a couple years ago, so that was actually pretty close. Like that, that's drivable. San Diego is not really drivable. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the news. We'll start with some trailers. I think we'll start with the one that's on, I think, the tip of everyone's tongue.
Really?
Yeah.
Being
Lightyear, obviously. Obviously. This is the Buzz Lightyear spin-off movie from Pixar. And, I mean, I don't even know where you begin with this. For me, I couldn't be less excited for this movie. I honestly, like, it has, like, zero cachet to me, because my understanding is that this movie is really just, it's supposed to be like what inspired the toy in Toy Story, and I think people can get really caught up in like the understanding how it fits into the Toy Story stuff. I don't think that necessarily matters. Like, oh, it can just be like a fun Buzz Lightyear story. Sure, but it's also not the character. Like, it's not the same character that we know from the show, from the movies. So it's like
just using its plot line of like the fictional character
right.
somewhat, and its aesthetic, and it's basically a an animated astronaut movie, but utilizing the nostalgic like feel, if there is one, from the previous stuff. But then what's concerning is that it's not really utilizing that. It's just utilizing like the look of it, and just making it something a little bit different.
There's some very funny memes, some very funny TikToks about this stuff, and like
people are creative.
Like I said before we were recording, the internet is undefeated in terms of this stuff. Like, it's just so funny. But like, I don't know. Like, are you excited about this? Like, Pixar movies. I just saw Luca last year, right? Or I guess it was earlier this year. This is coming out next year. So, saw Luca. That's, as of this point, Pixar's most recent movie, and I thought it was great. It was so like vibrant. The colors were amazing. The characters were fun and whimsical, and it was this, for me, a really return to kind of like the Pixar's roots, right? It's not this big analogy for emotions or life or anything else. It's just a fun Pixar story, right? This looks like it's like super serious for some reason. Like, I don't know. Like, why is it?
I think it's just trying to showcase that epic feel to it, and because it's going to be like a space, astronaut adventure,
yeah,
which is kind of cool, and it's just using that Buzz Lightyear aesthetic, but just taking it a bit more serious, and it's not about the toy and how he doesn't know he's a toy. It's
right.
It's about the aesthetic, essentially, the role he plays.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit more. So in the TV show, in the movies, right? Buzz Lightyear doesn't think he's a toy. He thinks he's Buzz Lightyear, right? That, and like the way he plays like himself.
Yeah,
like,
because we know that that's not the case, but he's still doing it, and it's still kind of working out sometimes in his favor. And then he realizes that he isn't that, and he has to like come to terms with that.
Right, but so if you're not, he has to come to terms with the fact he's a toy. That's fine. That's a good story in and of itself.
For Toy Story, yeah.
First Toy Story. But in this, it's like he's if Buzz Lightyear, the version of Buzz Lightyear who doesn't think he's a toy yet, who hasn't come to terms with that, is this kind of buffoon, who's
I don't think is he portrayed as a buffoon in this movie?
I mean, no, that's what I mean. It's what I mean. This character is so different from the version of the character. In fact, not even voiced by the same actor, right? Tim Allen, who voiced the character obviously in the movies, but now we have Captain America, Chris Evans here.
Yeah, they're going. This character is supposed to be very capable.
Right.
This is a trained
astronaut.
Right. And he's gonna have humor.
Is this an adult story? Like, is this a grown-up movie?
Yeah, I think it's completely different than Toy Story, and it's utilizing that nostalgia factor of, we kind of know this character, and we're gonna see him in a different light. It's an Elseworlds tale of this character, and we have to kind of just forget about Toy Story altogether, really. Is that a problem?
Well, I mean, why am I forgetting about Toy Story when you're using a character from the fucking Toy Story?
Because
excuse my language.
When you're a kid and you grab that toy, you are.
No one had a Buzz Lightyear toy.
No, I'm saying for the movie.
No, I know what you're talking. I know
the kid has these toys.
Yeah, I know.
He has his playtime, his imaginary playtime, or whatever. So it's when you grab that toy, you are imagining at that age, whatever, when you have it,
right?
You're imagining what he would be doing in this movie is what he would be doing,
right?
Not what we know of him as actual personality.
I'm still confused
based on the fact that he's a toy and all that stuff.
But this isn't about the toy.
Okay, when you grab the action figure, you know that it is what? It is a what's his thing?
It's like a representative.
When you grab it, you're playing that.
Yeah, you are role playing as Buzz Lightyear.
You're not thinking about the things that we know when we watch Toy Story, knowing that he's a toy come to life, who's a buffoon or whatever, however you describe him. When you grab that toy and he has that suit and he has the laser on it and the jetpack, he is capable of all those things. We get to see that capableness in this movie.
So is he going to use his little laser and like cut open something in this movie? Probably.
Why is it?
Is that cool? I don't know. I'm just trying to understand why this needs to be a Buzz Lightyear movie. And I'm like, maybe like I can't get it through my brain.
It's because IP. It's like you could have just made it like a new astronaut, but why not use a product that is established, is popular?
Okay.
It just the things that people have to come to terms with. If you were a fan of that series, is that this is an evolution of it. It's a sidebar. It's an Elseworlds tale. If we grab this character that you know the name of and kind of his backstory, this is his adventure.
I like the Elseworlds tale like way of looking at it. I think I can wrap my head around that more as an idea. I'm going to say this, and I know no one agreed with me when I brought this up at the party the other day, but I think this version of Buzz Lightyear looks exactly like George Clooney, and it's fucking weird to me.
I don't know if it's.
It looks uncannily like George Clooney to me.
What do you mean? It looks like just a potato head, like it just. I don't know. It doesn't look like realistic. Like in terms of his shape of his head, it's the same shape as the toy, which is the gargantuan chin. More so looks like Jay Leno here.
I mean, I guess he's kind of always looked like Jay Leno, but I don't know. I'm just saying, people go look at that trailer and tell me that you don't see any.
People are going to disagree who just like the party.
I'm just digging my own hole. That's probably true. Yeah, I don't. And so Lando, friend of the show, Chris Evans and Chris Pratt in this one. Is Chris Pratt is in this, or is it just that Chris Pratt voices everyone now?
Yeah, maybe that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, so Lando might be alluding to the fact that the only voice talent in Hollywood, Chris Pratt, is going to be voicing a new Garfield movie
after he does Mario.
After he does Mario, yeah, that's right. And then presumably we'll do the Smurfs, and then whatever else has to happen. I just want to tell one quick story about Garfield. Are we done with Lightyear?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I always want to say I think the trailer is actually really slick. How it's paced. The music. I think the David Bowie song there is pretty cool. Just the colors, the tones, the cinematography is really. It just looks very good.
It's very pretty. Yes.
Whatever preconceived notions you have on going in and confusion, it just looks like a solid Pixar movie that just looks like high quality.
Yeah.
And you have that song to back it up, which is another trailer song, an old.
We're into a new phase. Yeah. We're into a new era of trailer themes, which is that
we're well into it. It's been around.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I know. But I just remember we were at one point during the show's long tenure. Yeah, thank you. We were on the pulse of what was happening in trailers as like as these themes were going through. For a while, it was somber piano,
right, and then the bombastic kind of bass, the alien sound in Inception.
Yeah.
Then it was then maybe it was the piano after that, or maybe it was before.
Piano
like the
came
whistling, soft,
yes,
softness of certain songs, and now it's the rock and roll. Like let's just amp this up, modify it a bit.
It's a version of a song you know. It's a song you like.
It's like commercials. Like they have like commercials now for Tide and all this stuff. They've ruined the 40s and the 50s, like the jingles.
They ruined it.
Because they take all those.
Right.
They pay dirt cheap money for them probably.
Right.
And we all recognize them. We all heard them.
Right. And now we just associate it with Tide or something dumb. Right. Yeah, the world's going to shit. So yeah, but right now the trend is these rock songs with like often slowed down.
We're loving it.
Listen, it's good. At no point during any of these
Resident Evil, you were hype on that one.
No point during this whole process of trailers have I been down on trailers. We've been the modern movie trailer has been perfected, and we get great trailers very often.
It's kind of a double-edged sword though. Like
it reveals a lot.
Yeah. Well, it fools us too a lot of the time.
Well, sometimes intentionally.
Mortal Kombat.
Well, there's some good parts in Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Wonder Woman 1984, I think, is the best example of that because that's the best trailer I've seen in the last 10 years. It's not even. It's like
Top Gun. Top Gun.
oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about the trail. You're right. Of course, you're right. But Wonder Woman 1984 next level trailer didn't. That movie fucking sucks. So, there's no guarantees. Trailers mean nothing anymore, is really, and often reveal way too much information. Although I gotta say, and we'll talk about this in a bit, the Book of Boba Fett trailer. Often these Disney Plus trailers, I'd have to give them props because most of the time, all the footage from those first trailers is just the first episode. And then after everything else is like, it's all surprise. And that's exciting in this modern world we live in. That's what I live for, Jeremy.
Right.
I don't want to know what's going to happen next in this prequel story.
I'm way ahead of you on the Unsullied,
Are you? So I'm not I don't think I could ever go full Unsullied.
Yeah.
Someone's got to pay attention to the news here.
You need something. You need a little bit. You need a little bite of the carrot.
I just need a little serotonin, just a little trickle of it every day. That's what I need.
Yeah. I'll watch a trailer nowadays, but I might not watch it 5 times in a row type thing.
Right. You used to do that?
I feel like for sure. But The Matrix, I think I watched it twice. I don't want to watch that one again.
That's fair.
Just leave it be.
That's fair.
The Batman, the second one, I think just a couple times. Leave it be. But the first one I watched a bunch.
Well,
that was so new, so fresh, so far out.
Well, I
from
mean,
the release.
how often do you get new Batman? Batman.
Right.
Yeah. Not often. Okay, so let me quickly tell the story about Garfield. Okay.
Oh God. Okay.
So what I heard, and I can't necessarily corroborate this necessarily, but I heard it on a podcast or read it in some article somewhere that Bill Murray, the legend, who of course voiced Garfield in the last the last animated Garfield movie, he apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but
I'm gonna say it anyway.
I'm gonna say it anyway, just because it's such a good story to tell, that he joined the movie as Garfield, agreed to play the character of Garfield.
If they would give him free lasagna every time he showed up to shoot.
Right.
No.
Oh, this by the way, I typed in Bill Murray Garfield. This is a Business Insider article. It's the first thing that comes up.
I just made that up. I thought that'd be the funniest thing possible.
No, it's not. Okay, so let me just.
So they had to. Part of the budget was to hire a chef to make.
So you're just gonna make the story up.
Please,
thank you.
Bought frozen lasagna and tricked them.
That's right. So I'm just going to read from this Business Insider article. So some may have wondered why Bill Murray agreed to voice the title character in 2004's animated film version of Garfield during a career peak just a year after his Lost in Translation Golden Globe win. We don't care about Golden Globes anymore. Okay. And Oscar nomination. While Garfield the movie went on to rake in $200 million worldwide, insane, and it was critically panned, the sequel's 2006 Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, went straight to DVD. But thanks to a recent Reddit chat with Murray, we now know why he agreed to star in this cartoon franchise. He was confused. You see, there are 2 directors in Hollywood with the same name except for one letter. There is Joel Coen of the Coen brothers, who wrote and directed Inside Llewyn Davis, Burn After Reading, Fargo, among many other critically acclaimed films. And then there is Joel Coen, who wrote Cheaper by the Dozen, Daddy Day Camp, Monster Mash the movie, and other light comedies, including Garfield the movie. So Murray confusingly thought that the Garfield script was by the former and signed on to voice the famous cat in the movie series. The 63-year-old actor explained what happened in a revealing response during a Reddit chat after a fan asked, "Will there be a Garfield 3?" Oh, just quoting here. "I don't think so. I had a hilarious experience with Garfield. I only read a few pages of it, and I kind of wanted to do a cartoon movie because I had looked at the screenplay and it said Joel Coen on it." And I was thinking and I wasn't thinking clearly, but it was spelled Coen, not Cohen. There's without an H. I love the Coen brothers. I think that Joel Coen is a wonderful comedic mind. So I didn't really bother to finish the script. I thought, he's great, I'll do it. And so then it was months before I got around to actually doing it. And I remember I had to go to a screening room in somewhere and watch the movie and start working. And because they had trouble contacting me, they asked my friend Bobby to help corral the whole situation together. So Bobby was there, and when you're looping a movie, you're recording to a picture. So this is an odd movie because the live footage had been shot, but the cat was still this gray blob on screen. So I start working with this script, and I'm supposed to start re-recording and thinking, I could do a funnier line than that. So I would start changing the dialogue that was written for the cat, which kind of works. It sort of generally works. But then you realize the cat's over here in a corner sitting on a counter, and I'm trying to think of, how can I make it make sense? So the other characters are already speaking their lines, and so I'm going, did he really just say that? And I'm kind of in this end game of, how do I, chess piece myself out of this one? It's this whole long thing. It's so funny. This idea that he just did this whole movie by accident is one of the funniest ideas I think I've ever heard, just generally. And Bill Murray, apparently a lovely, lovely man. Ex-girlfriend of mine, met him once in Chicago. And they had a nice chat. She said he was really, really great to meet in person. So I love me some Bill Murray. I watched a movie recently with him and
Caddyshack.
No, with him and Adam Driver. It's I was talking about this at the party we were at the other day.
You're just telling everyone about what you watch at the party.
Yeah. We can have parties here. It's a zombie movie and it's very odd. It's called The Dead Don't Die, and it's by Jim Jarmusch, and it's not good. It's not a good movie, but the long story short is I like Bill Murray, and Adam Driver says the word ghouls very funny in this movie. He calls them ghouls. So anyway, that's my long story about Garfield, and it's not my story.
Great.
But let's move on.
I like the lasagna.
You liked your story better?
I thought he would just really want to get in character and feel what it was like to be like super lazy with like a full belly of lasagna, and then
it's just method acting.
And then just say the lines that way, like kind of like having a hard time breathing.
And he's like, I am lasagna. Okay. So let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett trailer. It premiered today, today being the November 1st of the year of our Lord 2021. And people have been waiting for this. It had similar vibes to the whole Spider-Man trailer where people are like waiting and waiting and waiting for this trailer.
People are waiting for Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yes, they are. They're not quite as waiting as hard for Boba Fett. It's coming.
Okay. It's
coming into December, but you just watched it the first time. Give me your initial impressions.
We talk about trailers, how they perfected them. Like, it's just so epic feeling with the big title cards, and just the sounds and the bass, and just seeing these iconic shots of the suit, and just knowing that we're gonna get a pretty fleshed out story of this character, in these recognizable places and characters. It's pretty surreal. You can kind of jump back and forth. Is like, for me, like, it's just Disney,
it's more of the same stuff. Yeah,
Disneyfying Boba Fett, this childhood, like, dream character that we always imagined his backstory and all that stuff. And now you're gonna see that, but you're gonna have a lot of people who are not gonna like or agree with how that is sort of being portrayed.
Sure.
And what we get here is like this kind of the story that involves Jabba the Hutt and like the throne, I guess, and whatnot. And, like,
yeah, so it comes as it's I guess not technically a prequel. Like it is in a sense, but it's not like giving us Boba Fett's origins because we kind of know that already.
It's just a Star Wars sandbox with these characters at the same time.
It's after Boba. It's after the Hutt has died, so he's filling a power vacuum, and on Tatooine, and it's like
he's all about respect.
He's not going to rule with fear. He's not going to rule with fear.
So this is I said when we were watching, like, that's the controversial part, like,
right, because he's supposed to be badass.
Is that he's just supposed to be like kind of like a scummy badass dude?
Did you see when he decapitated a man in this trailer?
Maybe I didn't catch that. That's fair. Maybe his actions may resonate there, but it just seems I can see the critique of, this is kind of out of character. They're creating this hero type character out of this, what we know is this lone kind of,
it's the Harley Quinn thing shit all over again. This is the this is the there's you can't have villains anymore.
Mhm.
They're all
Anti-heroes,
anti-heroes.
yeah.
They're all anti-heroes.
Rock,
It's
Black Adam.
Black Adam, same thing, right? And it's like, no, I think it's still fun to have a really badass villain. Now, Boba Fett was always kind of in the gray area, right?
But anytime you tell a story and it's from that perspective, I mean, everyone's their own main character.
Sure.
Hero, so you kind of have to go that route. We've seen it a lot now. And with this one character, with everyone
everyone loves Boba Fett.
Yeah, and we know those small details about him. Now that it's been expanded upon, I can see people being like, kind of just, like that's a bit unfortunate.
I mean, I guess, but what? It just seems like, okay, I'm trying to put myself, like, you watch this trailer and you're like, no, I want him just out there murking dudes. Like, that's just not an interesting story. This is not, it's more than just Boba Fett now. There's like all Tatooines involved. They're talking about this whole crime syndicate. This is dealing with the underworld. I think one of the taglines is there's always been an underworld in Star Wars. And,
sell a lot of death sticks. There.
Yeah, they do. You're gonna go rethink your life. That's Jeremy. Good reference. Thank you. Boba Fett. Where? And so, I think this is ultimately more interesting of a story to tell than just we'll just watch. Boba Fett spent his entire life in the belly of a sarlacc. And he's fought his way out, and now he's just going to go be exactly the same character he was before? No. This is about growth, about change, and I think there's a couple key lines in here that are interesting, and that I think continue to make Boba Fett a fascinating character, okay? One being, he talks about, he's like, you're talking about conflict, when cooperation can make all of us rich. He says that, I'm not going to try to do the impression of it.
We can benefit mutually.
Right. And he's saying that, but the key line there being is it'll make all of us rich. So he still cares about being rich. So I think that's interesting. So that he's being motivated by money. That's not generally something we see from our typical heroes in stories, right? He's eyeing for a throne of a underworld boss. In and of itself is not even if he's gonna rule with quote unquote respect, whatever that means.
It just doesn't really line up.
Well, how do you be an underworld boss and rule with respect?
If we're saying, it is the typical Boba Fett, he's all about money,
right?
But it just doesn't like.
So you're saying that his actions and his words aren't
it's doing two different things,
right?
One's new and one is the old way, like the old ways or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, hard to say because obviously there's still lots we don't know everything.
Yeah, it's just initially right now. You can tell what they're trying to do and. I think we're both at the camp. It's like it's fine. Let's just see how this plays out. Like, it's gonna make for a more interesting story. Will it piss off diehard Boba Fett fans because it's just too different? We have to wait and see.
I mean, I guess for me, it's like if you were a diehard Boba Fett fan and you really there really is not that much content to go off of. Like, what are you basing what are you basing your fandom off of? His bullshit death in Return of the Jedi. His 4 lines of dialogue and his teenage appearance in the Clone Wars show. If that's what I mean, of course, there's all the extended universe stuff, and that's all been wiped clean, which is already upsetting for a lot of people. But I mean, we just don't know a lot about this. We just don't really know that much about this character anyway.
Cool.
Yeah,
there it is.
They're bringing Fennec Shand, this female bounty hunter, back. She's kind of going to be a co-lead in this. I think that's interesting. Ultimately, though, here's the thing. This is just one piece of what Disney has promised is that, how Game of Thrones has been this series that season 1, we're going to tell 4 or 5 different stories. Season 2, those 4 or 5 different stories are going to continue. And as we move further, they're going to converge and less stories, but more time, yada, 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 right? What Disney has kind of been saying for the last year and a bit is that they're taking a slightly different approach to the same end goal, which is that instead of different seasons of one show, like The Mandalorian, right, which is now going to take a break for about a year and a bit before we get a 3rd season.
Well, Pedro does The Last of Us. And maybe makes an appearance in the Book of Boba Fett or whatever. Won't be him, but it'll be his voice.
That's right. That's right. They can still pay them full rate, but they only let them appear on
Yeah,
set for 2 days.
Turns out, what's the name? The actor who came back from Boba Fett. What's his name?
Tamora Morrison.
Yeah, it turns out he came back because he also requested to have lasagna.
What a crazy coincidence. He's like, I'm not doing it.
He doesn't have to be on set in the armor.
Right.
Only for the helmet.
Well, I mean, I think let's just say this: when he first came back to redon the armor, maybe he had a little bit too much lasagna. If you know what I mean.
I thought the black robes were slimming.
Did you? That's funny. Anyway,
Moving on, I guess.
yeah, we'll move on. But basically, what they're saying, they're moving to this converging storyline. All these stories are going to converge at some point, with either I'm hoping a really big movie directed by Rian Johnson.
Ooh,
That would be
Johnson.
sweet. But
Damn.
not gonna hold out hope for that. But either way, there's all these TV shows.
The haters prevailed there. It's just one of the many things in Hollywood that we will just
we'll never see.
Well, I mean, he is still attached, but
well, I mean,
people are attached for things for many years, and then they just get canceled out
yes.
of nowhere, and they blame other things.
Yes.
For it, so.
Yeah. Well, scheduling. It's always scheduling.
Sure.
Can never make it work. Yeah. Oof. I guess I understand that. It's just you can't bring him back without pissing off too many people. Unfortunate. Okay, let's move on. We'll staying on Star Wars for a little bit. Couple, one story, one rumor. We'll focusing on the underworld idea of stuff for a little bit. There is an animated series focusing on Maul running the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate set before Solo. So this would have
robot legs,
live action. No, not live action. Sorry, animated.
Right.
Robot legs, full robot legs,
right?
Not the weird spider ones.
Okay.
And would probably have Kira and all those other characters from Solo appear in it. But it would be this kind of underworld story with Maul as the main character.
Sign you up.
No, not really.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
not really. I don't think Maul is a very good main character. We're talking about true villains. Maul is a true villain character.
Okay, so you can't see any redeemable qualities out of him.
He is literally a Sith Lord.
He killed Qui-Gon Jinn.
Nothing can redeem someone for killing Qui-Gon Jinn, in my opinion. He's killed a lot of people, actually, and I don't.
Well,
I just
Obi-Wan cut him clean in half, and that didn't work.
Well, did you try cutting him in half vertically?
He wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, no, wouldn't have survived. Yeah, no. He's. I don't think he's redeemable. I think there's a really fascinating story to tell. That they actually kind of touched on.
It.
Yeah, they kind of already told it.
We saw his actual death.
In Rebels.
At the hands of Obi-Wan.
At the hands of and honestly, you're right, Jeremy, because I'm glad you brought that up. It's a controversial in the Star Wars world, but I think it's one of the coolest deaths.
It's a pretty cool thing.
Yes.
It plays your expectations a bit, so that might hinder your experience to it. But when it's all said and done, and when we talk about Qui-Gon and kind of how that ends, it's poetic.
It's poetic, and the coolest part about it is that. I think this is just so genius. So the fight lasts about 3 seconds, but there is a moment where Maul goes to do the same punch move he does on Qui-Gon, where he punches him with the hilt of his saber and then stabs him. Mm-hmm. So he goes to do that against Obi-Wan, but it doesn't work, and he cuts it in half and stabs him. It's just like this poetic finale to this character. It's so cool, and I think, by the way, it's very likely that we'll see a version of this death play out in live action in flashback in some way in the Obi-Wan series.
If all these actors are just ready to just keep playing these characters for a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which leads to the next.
Which is that Hayden Christensen will return in the Ahsoka series. Now we already knew he was coming back for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we've talked at great length about that. How it's kind of
it's amazing.
Redo that whole thing, or just give it the quality and time it deserves.
The thoughtfulness.
With modern storytelling and modern streaming services here.
So here's the thing. I'm wondering. So with him returning for Ahsoka, a bunch of questions, obviously. But I'm wondering if, and we already knew that he was coming back. They had said in Obi-Wan he's returning as Vader. He's going to wear the suit again. Yada, yada, yada. No one really gives a shit if Hayden Christensen's wearing the suit.
No,
Vader suit.
it's been heavily rumored that we'll get a lot of flashback sequences, which is very cool.
So I'm wondering now if that's just been kind of speculation, and that it's really just going to be him in the suit, and that's
just a waste. I think.
I think that's a waste as well.
Yeah.
For the record,
I think we called it back then that they can really dive into their relationship and give it the time and quality it deserves. Before their so-called ending,
right? I hate you. Yeah,
like the initial episode 3, ending, because obviously we get to episode 4
when they reunite,
massive time jump and
30 years,
and just an epic kind of ending there with so many questions that we just had no idea where that was going and whatnot with Luke's adventure.
So I mean, with Ahsoka, it gives the opportunity for two things. And I just can't imagine. There's just no way in the world that Disney does not just take the lowest hanging fruit, which is the ability to finally see Hayden Christensen with a live action version of Ahsoka. It's just like, you're going to do it. They're going to do it, right?
Well, that's the rumor here. But no, it's been confirmed that he's in this show.
Well, he's in the show, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like, how does that mean? How does that? I'm just saying that, like, you have to do this kind of like flashback to the Clone Wars thing, I think, to show it.
This could all culminate too in the ending of this character, but would that be the case too? Like, do they want to flesh out this Ahsoka character? We know that at some point,
she can't live forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
or is that the case? Is to kind of re-engineer that and show that she did essentially.
Well, so the thing is, the coolest part about Ahsoka, and I think it's also one of the more problematic elements, if it depends on the way you're looking at it, which is that she has been alive during like all the major events in Star Wars, but has like been behind the scenes or like been in the shadows of that whole stuff the whole time, right? Was on a Venator during Order 66 and survived. Was alive during the events of the original trilogy, and seemingly didn't do anything during that time.
Like the Eternals.
Just like the Eternals. They've been instructed not to interfere.
Right.
So, it creates this problem where, like, okay, was she alive then during the sequel trilogy too? And in which case, I'm like, why didn't she do anything then either? So it's like, at some point the character does probably have to die. I think if you're going to do it, I think, having Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost involved in some way or something.
But it's like, do you greenlight this show to have one season only, or do you want to get 3 out of it?
Well, I think this is another piece of that larger puzzle. So the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, we're gonna have the Rangers of the New Republic, all these like
Cassian Andor.
Right. These are all pieces of a larger puzzle that are supposed to culminate in this. I think this return of Thrawn. As like a big major villain in Star Wars,
which was in the extended universe, which got axed.
Yes,
but the characters
returned in Rebels.
Still exist.
Yeah, was introduced in Rebels.
So they're gonna re-engineer kind of his whole thing, but make it an epic prequel type, redo on the streaming service.
100%. That's exactly what's happening. Yes. So if you're doing that, maybe you have Ahsoka die at the hands of Thrawn.
Who do they cast as Thrawn?
Oh, this has already been predetermined. So they had the voice of Thrawn. This isn't confirmed, but
it's Antonio Banderas, isn't it?
It's Antonio Banderas. You know what? Crazy. He requested lasagna as his. I know. So, it's the brother of Mads Mikkelsen. So he voiced Lars Mikkelsen voiced the character in Rebels. He looks very much. He already has the look down.
He got the blue skin.
He has blue skin. That's right.
He showed up and he's like, I feel like a
fucking yeah, that's right. He blew himself for nothing. So he's probably gonna his voice is so cool. He's voiced the character in audiobooks. He's obviously done it in Rebels, so it's likely. And the thing that Star Wars seems to be doing now is casting characters that can not only voice a character for a video game or a show, but also then appear in live action later.
And I said Antonio Banderas because he's the villain in the Uncharted movie.
Oh, is that right?
He's in that trailer.
Right. Okay. Actually, you know what, Jeremy? Thank you. I'm thank you for putting that in here because I completely forgot. I know people have asked our take on that. So let's move on from Star Wars.
Let's add it to the notes now.
Let's add it to the notes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And misspell it as I do. Uncharted. So Jeremy, fuck Star Wars for a second. Let's talk about something important. Okay? Let's talk about the live action the live action adaptation of Uncharted. With
10 years.
We've been waiting for this. Talking about it, people attached to movies for a long time. This movie's been in production so long.
That Mark Wahlberg was initially cast as Nathan Drake. It's been so long.
Yes.
And even in this one, he looks more like Nathan Drake than Spider-Man does.
That's right.
That's what you
Yes,
would
that's
find
the story.
on
Yes,
the internet
that's the story.
if you researched what people think of the new Uncharted movie.
That's right. But I don't give a shit what they think. Right. I want to know what you think.
I mean, it's obviously that, but then some of the takes I've seen, which I agree with, is that it's weird that it's an amalgamation of a lot of what Uncharted is throughout multiple games for its first kind of initial incarnation.
Why are we getting this plane sequence?
Yeah, very iconic, but I wonder what that would be like if we were waiting for those sequences or those epic moments as the movies were released. But I mean, maybe that's just a weird kind of thing that we're trapped in, or that I'm trapped in, being a fan of the games and knowing what the next set piece
where's it supposed to go
would be, and now knowing that this is almost like a theme park. To me,
where's the ship? Where's the ship turning over?
It's a theme park version of Uncharted in a movie,
right?
So then, for me, it's not as exciting as like a director's take on Uncharted. This is clearly Sony, hiring the right people for the right amount of money and star power.
I don't know who even is the director
to maybe create a series here. And we also have that story that leaked a while ago. Not leaked, but Tom Holland was asked some questions about Uncharted, and he kind of basically just like
he did not want to talk about it.
Well, no, he did. He got ahead of the potential disaster that this movie could be, and said that he kind of approached it in a way that maybe wasn't suitable.
He felt like he approached it in a way that he's not used to making movies, which is this like movie star. Right. Pause for the close up type.
It was words like stoic. And, and then when we hear that, fans of the series, right? Because
you think of stoic.
We know that we don't think it. We think of the charm of Nathan Drake is kind of
his humor,
and how he's
disarming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he makes it through these scenarios in an unlikely way, but it's always just cool how he does it, but not like James Bond cool.
No, he's kind of like stumbling. It's obviously it's Indiana Jones, and that's okay, because we haven't seen a new Indiana Jones in many years, and there's I think space in the movie world. Right now, but he's fucking 80 years old, or like whatever. Like
I feel like Mads Mikkelsen is in the movie.
It's the dude's old. Okay, and he's gonna get de-aged and all this other stuff.
How old Harrison Ford is.
You
gotta get over that.
Unbelievably old.
And you always try to say that he's grumpy, but it's complete opposite. He's having fun out there.
He's not having fun. The dude is grumpy as shit, dude.
No,
yes, he is. Listen to his interviews, man. The guy gives zero
laughing
shits.
their asses off because he's playing up that you've been sold. Okay,
I've been sold. Because he's been selling me on his own. This is his. He's acting as his
grumpy old man.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that's not the point. By the way, this movie's directed by Ruben Fleischer. I don't know.
There was a PlayStation Movies logo. Like this is a business move. This isn't what The Last of Us is.
Right.
A proper adaptation.
This is just a cash grab.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so as long as we're on the same page about that.
But the aesthetic and the look of it is just ripped straight out of the games.
Right.
I thought the most odd thing of the amalgamation for me is the
how young he looks.
Well, that's the weirdest thing that we've talked about before. He doesn't look like Nathan Drake at all. It was like a boy cosplaying as Nathan Drake. It makes no sense that he can wield weapons and fight these criminals when he's this young.
He looks like 16.
Yeah, he doesn't have any experience. Not that Nathan Drake needs it. Like we said, he kind of fumbles his way
through
but
he needs to be able to
grit,
physicality. There's some physicality there.
So that's not here. But when they talk about they mention his brother Sam.
Yeah,
it's like
we're introducing that now.
Why?
Because Jeremy,
let's go over Sully and Nate. we talk about 10-year anniversary of Uncharted 3. A very controversial game.
We haven't talked that on the show, but yes, it is the 10-year anniversary of Uncharted 3.
I was trying to say 10 years since Uncharted 3 in the beginning when you were introduced to this movie.
Okay, sorry.
A coincidence there, but that one was controversial in the fact that it had this flashback sequence that took place with a younger Sully and a younger Nate.
Yeah.
And that aesthetic right there is essentially what you're getting in this movie.
Yes, but they don't do that story.
They're trying to talk about Nate's brother Sam, which is when he's when he's quitting, when he's having spoilers, a child eventually.
Yes.
So it's disheartening for fans like myself, which I could probably group you in there.
Yeah.
That it's not taking the subject matter as serious. Not that it needs to be
serious. It doesn't have to be self-serious. Luckily, we don't have Dan here to correct us when he was saying that.
Luckily. But it makes it seem more of that theme park of Uncharted in movie form with this PlayStation Studios logo and in this trailer of the game.
So I think
to buy at the end.
I think the term theme park is really interesting, like a theme park ride, because I think of those games as like a theme park ride. In a good way, right? It's like set piece to set piece interspersed with what? Characters.
Yes.
Character work.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a game that is extremely story driven.
Yes.
And not here's a huge map. Go do a bunch of
stuff.
Not.
It's really even like you could argue the gameplay is really not even that great.
Yeah.
and
then Last of Us was kind of the jump up from it in terms of the story and the plot and the characters, and it was guiding you through this thing to the point where we had issues with the Last of Us game because it was caught in between being too much gamey and that kind of director experience.
Like I said, Uncharted 2, I will continue to argue, would probably have been better served as a movie or television show. So, and so that's fine. And I think the best part of those things is the fact that they are so story driven. So you can, and people have been making the argument for years that we don't really even need an Uncharted movie because the games are already that, but better. So
same thing with The Last of Us as well.
And so fair enough.
But jumping into that world in a fleshed out HBO, 10 episode series or whatever it may be with some of these actors, the caliber of these actors
has cachet. There's
pretty cool.
Yes.
And with the talent behind the scenes, which are one being the main director.
Right. You were talking who involved from Naughty Dog is involved in this. They have to they're probably distancing themselves.
There was some set photos of Nolan North on set talking with Tom Holland.
Nolan North could have played the character and still been this movie would have been just as good, in my opinion.
Well, there are rumors that he might appear as a character,
like a cameo,
which would be cool.
That's
cool. He did that in The Last of Us, right? It was always cool in I think both games, maybe the first one. It was like kind of like a mystery.
Yeah.
But then we see this character, we almost knew it was him. Like it sounded like him, but it was a vast departure.
Yeah.
From what he was used to playing.
Well, I mean, the great thing about Nolan North is that he's a good voice actor, so he can actually do multiple voices. Penguin from
who's a better voice actor? Chris Pratt.
Pratt. No, I disagree. I actually disagree with that.
Don't sleep on Mario.
I'm not. Yeah, don't sleep on the world's biggest video game star. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I want to keep an open mind.
Oh, for sure. But and that's another thing. The critic consensus of this trailer, which I do agree with, it doesn't look as bad as we thought it would.
It could have been real bad.
It
right?
is doing a lot of servicing for us and our nostalgia for these moments in these games, especially that cargo plane thing. It's pretty much straight ripped out of it, other than the fact that they're flying over an ocean instead of a desert.
But that could be changed because trailers lie to you.
But the physics also of him, how he leaped from one of the
it looks the same
thing.
Yeah.
It's just very unrealistic. But
well, I mean. Yeah. Neither was the game, but you know what I mean.
This looks worse. When he just throws himself.
Yeah, but Jeremy, again, we're talking about a video game where you would just throw yourself up a wall.
But also, he's a child.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest problem. We already talked about this. It's like we talked about how you had been trying to talk me off a cliff, or I was saying Tom Holland shouldn't be cast. This is dumb. This is dumb. You're like, no. It's gonna be. They're gonna tell this early story. It's gonna be.
But
it's gonna be interesting.
It's that, but it's not that.
But it's not that. Yeah. And it's like you're right because it looks like a cosplay version of Nathan Drake, and it doesn't work.
Just watch the Nolan North short movie that he finally.
It's so good.
Finally made.
It's not Nolan North. It's
what's his name?
Nathan
Castle.
yeah. Yes.
Arm fall off. Boy.
Yes. Yeah. Firefly. Him. Anyway, yeah. Go watch
Nathan
that.
Fillion.
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan
Yes. Which is why they named him that. Actually, right. He's based off his performance from Firefly.
And
so
he can totally do the movie now. He's jacked. He got jacked for the Suicide Squad. And even though his arms were floating around. His arms got shot.
I mean, the thing is, he 100% could have done it. They're just banking on the fact that Tom Holland is a star.
Yeah,
but
Sony, Spider-Man,
but and I've been saying this now for a couple of years, and I'm not the originator of this or anything, but the fact is, stars don't sell movies anymore. They don't.
Well, I also saw a fan cast for another Batman movie for some reason that kind of blew up. But I think
for another Batman movie for some reason.
Yeah, and it like blew up. But I think it was like designed that way. But they put
Nathan,
Tom Holland in
the
and then someone quote tweeted it and said the internet was a mistake. So we can't.
So I said the internet was never like undefeated, but I lied. Yeah. That's true. They were defeated there. It was a mistake. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna keep an open mind. I love this franchise. I think worst case scenario, this movie is really bad, and we forget about it, and they reboot it in a couple of years. Best case scenario, it's actually pretty good, but we now have to deal with this cast for an ongoing time. It's kind of unfortunate.
I think the one thing that we just need to hold out for now is the music. It's unfortunate.
Why wasn't the theme in the trailer, Jeremy? What the hell?
Because we know what the theme of trailer music is.
Yeah, well, yeah. God forbid you put the best song in the trailer.
What was this? What was it again? It was like a.
Dun, dun, dun,
it was like
dun.
a. No, it was a Van Halen song or something like that.
Who gives a shit, Jeremy? Who gives a shit? It's just another stupid song.
Can they even do the music from the games for the movie?
They own the rights. They can do it.
They gotta just do it.
The theme is gonna. They're gonna do some illusion. It'll be his fucking. You know what it's gonna be? The theme is gonna be his ringtone. That's the thing that they do, right? That's like the thing. It's like, oh, the ringtone.
I have to use the washroom.
Okay, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna go to break. No, we're gonna go to break. Okay, we're back, but I need to just quickly record a little stinger for when we go to break before we jump back in, because you just went, I had to go to the bathroom. And I just want to remove that from the podcast, so I'm just going to.
Funny.
It's pretty funny.
Who cares? Let's go. Let's go if you're going to go.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about, what are we talking about next? We're going to talk about Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Damn. We haven't even made it through the trailers yet. But luckily, the rest of the stories won't take very long.
Or they might just fall off.
They might just fall away. Who knows?
Resident Evil, though, I mean, it's a great time to be a Resident Evil fan right now. I think we can all.
I think we can all agree. I think we can all agree.
I mean, we've got Resident Evil 4 VR, which we haven't tried, but I tried to convince you to get a Quest 2.
Yeah, you're close. You almost me.
Got you, but you're just gonna leave, and it's just not gonna happen. So it is what it is.
You get to borrow my PlayStation 5 for a month.
But a brand new take on the Resident Evil universe. A reboot in movie form. Has us pretty excited with the trailer that was released. Probably a few weeks ago, but it's coming out this month now, end of November. I guess we just want to talk about the trailer or the two trailers. We watched two trailers for it. There's a American one and then the international one.
I'm just gonna lean on you for this. I'm really gonna. You're looking at me like I'm supposed to know.
Well,
this is where you're supposed to know.
Well, no, I'm just those are facts. What I just stated.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna ask you to combine your thoughts on the both of them and can give them to me in one cohesive statement.
When I talked about how it's a good time to be a Resident Evil fan, I think with Resident Evil 4 coming out and they rebooted the movie, it's just everything's in sync right now. Like if you're a Resident Evil fan, you are content, maybe more so, with what the offerings are right now, and with a movie, kind of redoing whatever was the series before.
Right.
Obviously
we don't talk about that.
Obviously, very successful.
Right.
I mean, made money, made bank.
How many movies?
I want to say 6, maybe 7.
Oh, that's 6. I thought that was I thought you were guessing high.
Or maybe 5. I don't know.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, I would say 6 or 5.
They started when we were in high school.
Yeah, the first one, honestly, very cool. It was at the time, it was disappointing because it was different than the game, but still maintained a lot of the themes from it and story elements, whatnot, right? And the director at the time said that he wanted fans of the game to not to know what was coming, essentially, which I think I guess he was right. I mean, the series, because the series ended up appealing to a wider audience or a different audience in that regard. But that's why it's exciting now with this new take, is that it's kind of trying to do the opposite of that, but not full on opposite, because this movie is going to take place, in the beginning of the Resident Evil series and how it launched, but it's
going to follow the story of the games.
Yes, but it's mixing 1 and 2, with a lot. Like you.
What do you mean by a lot? Like other things from other parts of the franchise or new things?
It's both games in one movie. The first game was centered around Chris and Jill,
right?
And the outbreak,
right?
With the stars and the Alpha team and the Bravo team and just kind of what's going on there. And the second game takes place with Claire Redfield
in the city
with Claire Redfield, brother or sister of Chris Redfield, and a new character, rookie cop Leon.
Right. And the third game takes place at the exact same time as the second game.
2, yes, where Jill is past Resident Evil 1, and caught up with some of the characters from Resident Evil 2.
Right.
So I always thought going into Resident Evil that you could somehow mix all of them or do a combination. So it's pretty cool that we're getting that here. It's not a negative.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a positive for sure. So it's as a diehard Resident Evil fan, it's definitely very exciting. And I know you were pretty hype on the trailer, even though it used a rock song. I think that may have been,
I don't like whatever about the music anymore. Like, but because at the same time, it's like they're all the same now. Like I can't even pinpoint. Like I can think about still the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer, and I can think of the Pinocchio theme that they did in piano. I know that song.
Right.
These are all just blend together in my brain. Like they're not. It just could be any rock song.
What is the song of this one though? So for me, I knew they were using that classic trailer thing, and it was a little off-putting at first. But just the editing these guys are capable of now.
It's good stuff,
guys and gals. It's so good. It's so hype.
What excited me though was the use of the iconic. First shot of the
mansion.
Of the mansion, the first shot of the zombie, because you've never, or whatever they're called in Resident Evil.
They're zombies,
yeah. Do they call them that in the game? Like, are they called zombies? Okay, that's refreshing for the record. I just I'm so sick of the freakers and the walkers and the.
Well, I mean, you see a licker as well in this.
Right. Yeah, but they start at they're just zombies, right? So, but the first one you ever see, which is that white head turnaround and
turnaround.
Yeah. And it's so cool, and the first time you
iconic.
see it in the PlayStation, it looks like shit, but it's still cool. And then this is they're showing it, and it's all live action. It's like, wow, that is such a cool. Why didn't they do that the first time they made these movies? Kind of question, But But it's like I'm in for it. I don't even really like Resident Evil as a franchise that much because I think it's so silly for a lot of it. So this is like, I feel like hitting the perfect tone here. Like I don't know, like tonally, is this working for you, or is it something? Is it not?
Oh,
quite
100%.
Right?
It's pretty serious, like how it just kind of starts on the relationship between Chris and Claire, and he's just confused as to why she's coming back. That's all part of the game, but she's aware of the impending outbreak. And
right.
it's just very exciting. Like, we know that's going to happen with zombie movies. We know that happens with pandemics. The outbreak that kind of
right. It's been told.
And this has kind of been at the forefront of that, or the evolution of it, or the kind of perfecting of it, if you will.
Right.
Like, from my standpoint.
It's interesting. I think it's challenging because you have this story that's been told 1,000 times, right? The first outbreak of the zombie thing, whatever it is, that's been told, bazillion times. But the video game version, that was one of the first times that was really tackled.
Yes, exactly.
But this is recreating the first time. So it's like you're kind of treading familiar ground from a filmmaking standpoint, because it's not really anything.
But you're
new.
giving it to it props and all that because it's from the game that did it already.
Right. So what they're kind of having to do here is find this balance between telling a interesting new take on this familiar story, right? But also paying homage to where it came from, the video game story that it originates from, this version, and kind of giving those moments that fans really want, which is like those shots from the game,
liquor in the hallway,
right? The dog jumping through the window, yes, yeah. Without feeling like it's pandering.
And I had the same feeling from the game as well, but mine was the remake, which is still, I think, one of the scariest games of all time to this day.
Yeah, it's
I'll
very
put
scary.
that up with Dead Space.
It's the lack of the ability to move. You just can't move.
Well, it's also it's the creepiness of the fixed camera angles. It's very creepy.
It's the same way.
It's a voyeuristic.
It works in the same way that that VR movies don't work, which is that it's the camera is showing you exactly what it wants you to show, what it wants you to see, and nothing else.
Yeah.
Right.
And it could be a first person perspective from like a voyeuristic type, like Psycho type thing. So yeah, it just adds to the overall feeling of claustrophobia, or just unable to escape and always being watched. But that's obviously hard to translate for a movie. But to me, being a Resident Evil fan, it's just so cool seeing these characters being portrayed finally, like all together at the same time at a crucial event. Whereas the series before it was kind of extrapolating from the characters and just throwing them in a blender, and they'd show up here and there, and it just didn't feel right. This feels like a right take, and it's exciting, even though the zombie type stuff has been overused.
You could say it's almost. You could almost argue that it's on its way out.
Well, I would say we're way past that. Like with the kind of decline of The Walking Dead.
That show is still on television.
Yeah, I know, but
it's crazy.
It's diminishing returns, though. It's not.
How is it still on TV? Who's still watching?
Diehards.
If you're still watching Walking Dead,
and then you have,
please let me know.
You have the Army of the Dead universe, which I think the Army of the Thieves I actually watched on the weekend, is the prequel movie to that, which is the Zack Snyder Netflix kind of universe, which is.
Wait, is that the same? Is that set in the same universe?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the whole thing that Netflix kind of they bought from Warner Bros. Sold it because they didn't want to.
They're like, we're done with this.
Well, they didn't want to make another generic zombie movie, but then it turns out that it's not a generic zombie movie. It's playing on the tropes of that, and now it's being successful at Netflix, like kind of just like
over time.
Like I think Army of Thieves is number 1 in 90 countries, just like how Squid Game was number 1.
It's called Army of Thieves.
Yeah, it's mostly about the safecracker from Army of the Dead and his kind of backstory and where he came from.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Then there's a prequel cartoon, and then they also announced the sequel to Army of the Dead, which will be called Planet of the Dead, which Zach will be filming after he's finishing Netflix's Rebel Moon. which is
right. This is Star Wars. This is his version of Star Wars.
Yes.
Which,
correct.
Jeremy, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to like process this concept. To be honest, like I'm going to watch. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to be like,
this will be a true test for you in whatever.
Yeah,
state
I
of
don't
mind
exactly
you
like.
are
I'm like
that
I
our disconnect.
gotta keep an open mind. Gotta keep an open mind, but it'll be hard to disconnect the idea of like this is what he would do if he was making a Star Wars movie.
Right.
It's like that's going to be hard to decouple. But anyway, yeah,
and,
that's cool.
This is a sidebar, but it also is news, and if it's something that I would bring to the table. He was talked about what this Planet of the Dead, Rebel Moon, is going to feel like.
That's no moon.
Yes, he mentioned that it'll essentially, if you want a clue as to what it will look like or feel like, it'll be like the Kryptonian scene in the beginning of Man of Steel with Russell Crowe and kind of that world and how that was fleshed out and visceral and just.
So you can do a lot of tight soup, like these zooms, these like super fast zoom ins.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Among other things, but so that's I don't know. I'm excited for that. I think that's a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie is. It just sounds. It
breaks my brain even trying to contemplate what that even is. I don't even.
And just from digging into that director more, like he's just so into Star Wars. So I like that angle of it. It's that he grew up with it.
Well,
he's obsessed with it. It's part of his psyche. It's like okay, well let's see what he does.
There's this really interesting thing where it's like he loves Star Wars, but you get the sense that like whatever he would pitch to Disney, they'd be like, no, like no, you're insane. Please. Yeah. Please,
I'm here for that insanity. You know what I mean? So, sign me up.
Right. I want a lot of slow mo. With laser swords.
Please.
That's really. If there isn't laser swords, I mean, what have we been doing? Right.
Maybe that'll be probably like a different type of samurai sword made of
laser.
Or something.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say about Raccoon City? Welcome to Raccoon City.
No, I was saying earlier, like it's a missed opportunity that it wasn't released around Halloween. I just think that would totally fit that.
Yeah, spooky season's now over. It's not Christmas season.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a miss there, and we got to wait till the end of November too. But I just can't wait to sit in the theater and take that movie in and see where it goes. Like I know all the corners of that world.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see how these creators are doing the opposite of what happened before and just focusing on the games and the characters and trying to make this a viable series going forward, which could lead to, I would say Code Veronica would be next. Or I guess
think honestly,
maybe 3.
Code Veronica is a cool name for a movie, like regardless of anything. Like it's just a cool name.
Well,
it's a cool movie.
It's always
name.
up in the ante on the virus that's
right
coming. But Code Veronica is more of the wacky Resident Evil that you may not necessarily like because it kind of it dies back in the past and like
Wesker's doing weird shit and he's always doing weird shit. Yes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's move on here. There's a couple of things. So I'll just go through these quick. Comment if you feel like you have something you want to say.
Sure.
Okay, so Troy Duffy is making another Boondock Saints movie. He wants it to be more like a John Wick type franchise. John Wick, obviously a buzzword.
Doesn't everybody
these days.
Want their series to be like?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Here's the thing. For me, Troy Duffy really has only ever made 2 movies. He made The Boondock Saints and The Boondock Saints 2. And I like the first one. It was of its time. The second one does nothing for me at all. I think it sucks. And and I don't think that the movies that the movie that is the Boondock Saints, it's a very specific tone and style, and I don't think aping John Wick is appropriate for that franchise. I just think it makes it feel like another Also Ran. It's not interesting anymore, and I would even go further in saying that the tone that is the original Boondock Saints is passé. Like I don't think it works now. I don't think it could work in a modern context.
Hot take. There it is.
you like the first movie, right? And the second,
of course. Yeah. First movie is great. Second movie I thought was cool that they went back.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember certain things from it, but I think I'd need to watch it again. I think I only watched it the one time.
Sure.
But yeah, Norman is it Norman Reedus?
Yes, the wrong dude.
Yeah, from Walking Dead and the Kojima game.
The Kojima game.
Death Stranding.
Yes. the fetus Norman Reedus. But yeah, I don't know. I just like you'd hope that he'd have new ideas, but unfortunately, he's just making another of the same thing that he's done before. So. We talked about Chris Pratt voicing Garfield. That's a shame. Talking about
I hate Chris Pratt. It's crazy.
It's just he doesn't need to voice everything.
He's talented.
So lots of talented people out there. Anyway, Ana de Armas is reportedly in talks. Speaking of John Wick, in talks to play and lead in the upcoming John Wick movie called Ballerina. This is a female-led film, obviously. I like the idea of ballerinas being this like covert operative. I feel like that was touched on already a little bit in the second John Wick movie,
or in the latest Bond movie, maybe.
Well, she appears in the latest Bond movie. By the way, apparently, she was kind of added into the movie late, James Bond specifically, because Daniel Craig really liked working with her on Knives Out, and then wanted to find a role for her, which I think is really cool.
I did feel pretty shoehorned in.
It did. And apparently that was going to be more like a Felix Leiter moment. They wanted that to be,
but he was filming the Batman, so
right.
Yeah.
So he got what happened to him, but like, I love Ana de Armas. I think she's a great actress. Like put aside the fact that she's very attractive, but she's very good actor. Like very, very good. She can absolutely lead a series like this. I don't think there's any disagree.
No doubt
anyway.
about it.
No? Okay, moving on. Staying in the John Wick universe, which is a thing now, Mel Gibson set to star in a TV spinoff. This has disappointed lots of people who don't really like Mel Gibson anymore.
Sign me up.
But you're into it.
What's wrong with Mel Gibson?
Well, lots of things.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't necessarily like to write people off forever. If they think that this is the right move for him in his career, that this is going to help.
There's a 90s Mel Gibson movie that I want to recommend for for the movie club at some point, I think. Maybe
you want to tease what that is?
No.
Okay, I'm going to keep it secret.
On that.
Okay. All right. Dune came out recently. I've seen it. I liked it quite a bit. I think it's very, very good. I'll tell you this. I know Dan's not here, but he didn't like it. So I'll just tell you that. And it was announced, and it was called Dune. Go see Dune. You go into the theaters. First shot of the movie's Dune, Part 1. And so that was a bit of a misdirect from the marketing standpoint. Whatever. But you know what? I'm into it. I'm fine. I'm fine with more Dune. I want to see more Dune. But the second one wasn't announced.
Second one, Tune.
Tune. I don't know. What's another one? Brune? No.
No, I don't know why he said that.
I don't know. I don't know either. Somebody stop me. Dune 2 was announced the day after, though. It came out like a couple days. A couple days.
They had to wait a little bit, and then they realized.
End of the weekend, Sunday, I want to say. Monday, maybe. Yeah. So Denis says he wants to make a second movie. He's in for it. He didn't want to film them back to back because he felt like that's too much of a commitment from time-wise. Got to respect that from a director these days.
Yeah, and WB, they were just, after Blade Runner 2049,
they just couldn't. They weren't sure.
Behind him.
Yeah, because that movie sucks, right? No,
right.
I mean, I think the thing is, Dune isn't going to make its money back. Probably.
I think it already has.
The budget globally,
the budget was $120 million.
Really?
This movie, yeah,
that's
very low.
Cheap for a movie like that.
Of this size.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's already So maybe factor, and then the marketing budget they never really say, but it could be.
You got to imagine it's quite large. Yeah.
Yeah, because it costs lots to advertise, but I mean they're doing okay. But I think there's also comparisons to Tenet, which in the height of the pandemic made like I think 300 million worldwide or something, but obviously deemed as a failure in terms of returns there. So if this isn't even close to that yet, like it's a little bit of a red flag. But they went ahead.
The metrics are all different.
But then Ann Sarnoff said, you know what? We're not really looking at. It's not about.
Oh really? It's not about box office anymore.
Sometimes you gotta let the director tell their story.
All right, interesting. Wow, what a change of tune. That's right. What a change in tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, different. Hey, no longer have those AT&T overlords or whatever.
And then when asked if there would be a sequel to Dune, she said, "Well, if you see how the movie ends, you pretty much know the answer to that."
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's might be one of the funniest quotes I've ever heard in my time.
More fueling of the, fanning of the flames,
Right. But, like, here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from, and what you're alluding to. But you got to take this one in and of its on its own accord, right? This isn't a slight at Mr. Zack Snyder here. This is something. Denis is a different director, different stuff. It's all different, right? And the studio's in a different place. So taking that in all of as what it is, I think the movie is great looking. It's super gorgeous. It's one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. It's very confusing. And taking notes from Tenet, the dialogue is often hard to understand. So I would, watch it with subtitles because you can watch it at home. But also, if you have the chance to watch it in theaters, I highly recommend it. Biggest screen you can. It's fucking gorgeous. Even speaking of Nolan said it's one of the best looking movies he's ever seen. So highly recommend watching the movie. They did announce the second one. It's going to come in 2023. So it's 2 years away, basically. I think that's fine. I think that's a totally realistic number. 2 years after the original number. Okay, sure. Denis, this is the first sequel he's ever going to make to his own movie. I think that's awesome. I don't want to overstate this, but I do think he's one of the best directors that's working right now. He's just very talented. And it's great to see that he's not only wants to make a second, but he's also saying he's already talked about wanting to make a third called Dune Messiah, which is, I think, based on the book of the same name. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Let's just tell the first two. Let's just tell the first two, okay? But is there any part of you that's saying, "Oh darn, I would have liked to have seen this fail and see him do something else"? Or like, are you okay with this? That you're into this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. If that's
you haven't seen it yet.
I don't think that's the right way of putting it, but I've said that about many directors. It would just be like even for James Cameron, right? Like,
right.
Even though it'll be exciting to see
Avatar
what these
6, 7,
Avatar
8,
movies
9,
are, but it's like, what would he have done?
Who knows? That's the problem. We don't know. It could have been mind-blowing,
and
game-changing.
Yeah, and that's just the negative aspect. But, I mean, Dune is, people are raving about it, so it'll be very cool if it does end up being a trilogy that we can just kind of
hold up there
and look at for a long time. So, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
It's good easily. I think people are saying it. It's funny. People come to this movie and it sucks. Everyone comes out of this movie sucks.
Yeah.
They're just upset that it's not a full. It's
so
not very funny.
Well, that's another theme on film Twitter is that the MCU is killed cinema.
It's constantly, it's always killing cinema
from
Scorsese,
Sir Martin Scorsese.
yeah, you're right. I don't think he's knighted.
It's just So it's a lot of those things are being echoed in weird ways.
We talked about it.
That could all be clickbaity type things that people just because there's a lot of articles out there these days in fandoms that are they're just obviously
it's clickbait,
targeted, pretentious. Hiding
people are gonna be mad about this one thing, right? About that thing that people know they're gonna be mad about.
And then it's all about the ratio where the quote tweets come in. You get the armies of the fandoms, and then they're labeled cults now. And we live in that internet world.
Yeah. So and that sucks. I'll just put that out there. That sucks. But there is, I think, hidden inside these dumb internet comments are seeds of truth and seeds of ideas that ring true. And I think the idea that the MCU's very specific comedic adventure tone is the only tone that should be that is correct is wrong.
And it's being elevated that notion because of their latest movie Eternals is we haven't seen it.
It's getting review bombed.
Well, it's not. Well, that you could say that about a lot of movies, but it's trying from what I've gathered, it's not necessarily adhering to that classic Marvel formula. And
that makes me so excited, Jeremy. I want to see it so bad now.
Yeah, but then that is turning people off, which is funny. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I can understand that if you go to see a Marvel movie and it's not the thing you're expecting, that's disappointing.
Right.
But I don't understand I'm going to see Dune and it's not a Marvel movie and that's disappointing. That doesn't make any sense to me, and I think is unfortunate. I love the tone. They take it. That's the thing. They take it super seriously. It's like. And I'm 100% on board. This is, by the way, I also saw The Last Duel, and that's a movie that takes itself 100% serious. In fact, to the point where it did turn me off a little bit at first. I was like, it was hard.
Too self-serious.
Jeremy, there's a point early on in this movie, and to be fair, I will admit to the audience, I was high as a kite. But when I sat down in the theater, I had the theater to myself, Jeremy. I had the big reclining seats at the comfy leather reclining seats, you know?
I told you to go to that.
By myself. Had the whole theater to myself.
So
I consulted the usher, and I said, which row is the best row to sit in? And they're like, it depends on how reclined you want to be. That's what they said to me, Jeremy. So I picked the row that had me like slightly less reclined.
You want to be in the middle.
I want, yeah.
I could have told you all this.
So anyway,
which I basically did.
I went to see The Last Duel, a movie that made laughably small amount of money at the box office. Like the movie cost $100 million, it made like $4 million. It's like it's crazy. And like I'm not even exaggerating. It's that bad. But the movie's great, but the beginning of it is hard to really because you're looking at these actors you know, and it's like they're playing French. Medieval lords, and it's like
yes, it isn't until the writing kind of comes through with the performance. Okay, I can buy that.
It's about I'd say about a third of the way in before I start getting in buying into the world.
Understand these characters and what they're doing, and they're going all out.
But before that, it feels like it's like these guys are just like acting. It's like I can't separate.
That's not good.
I can't separate the idea that Ben Affleck is just wearing this stupid wig.
Separate the blonde from Ben Affleck's hair.
Well, and he's just and I'm like, I know you're taking this seriously, and I appreciate it, but it's like you look ridiculous, and I can see you sitting on a set right now wearing this outfit.
So what is that? Is that a you problem?
It's a me problem. It's a me problem. But I think a rewatch would do. Like the movie's great. It's so good.
Rewatches are really good when you have weird
preconceived notions
and expectations. Yeah, because then they'll just kind of
melt
away.
Yeah,
and then you can have a different experience, which I think recommend.
Watch The Last Duel. It's gonna be on VOD very soon. Watch it. It's very heavy.
The meme that's playing right now is in the Guardians movie when the guy's like, "Who?" It's like, but it's like people being like,
Last Duel?
Like what movie?
Yeah, that's right. You're talking about the Matt Damon medieval movie. This happened to me at work. This happened to me at work. I was like, you know what I saw? I was like, I went to see The Last Duel last night, and they're like, what? Yeah, I was like, the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck night movie. They're like, what are you talking about? So I understand that. Anyway, Dune. I really did enjoy it. We'll wait to talk about it a little bit more depth once you have seen it. Moving on. Brendan Fraser has been cast as Firefly in the Batgirl movie.
Excellent.
Listen, I'm all for more Brendan Fraser, but does this confirm? I mean, we already know, but this ultimately confirms that not the Teen Titans. What are they? What movie? What
Doom
show is
Patrol.
The Doom Patrol. Not the same universe. Different universe, right?
Right.
I guess not technically because he's a robot man.
Yeah.
Right. In theory, he could be.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not. Yeah, it's multiverse. Yeah. Right. But yeah, more Brendan Fraser is just really diving neck deep into the DCEU stuff, eh?
Well, the other ones, I don't know, the
DC stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for it. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
Gets the TOB stamp of approval. On television, this is a show that I've been waiting for so long. Was so excited to see why The Last Man finally coming to FX on Hulu. Canceled before the first season's even done airing.
They finished filming it though.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't even done airing. It was airing
it never aired.
Well, I've seen the first couple episodes.
Oh, really? I thought
yeah.
It never even
No. It did come out. They didn't finish the first season, and then they're like, nah, we're not going to do a second.
It's not for us.
I understand where they're coming from. It's dealing with a pandemic. This like very kind of like close to home subject. it can feel a little dated at times, but I think it's great. I love the comic. I think the show is not quite as good as the comic book is, but it is what it is. They're now in that unique position that shows were in like 8 years ago when they're like shopping for survival on Netflix and stuff. That's where they are. I hope they'll be picked up. I hope they'll be picked up.
Like The Killing?
Like The Killing. Yeah. Wasn't Succession? Did that happen to Succession for some reason or something? Am I thinking of? No.
I don't know.
No.
I just know it's like a good show.
No, that is a good show. The people love it. Hey, there's That 70s Show sequel, Jeremy. It's called That 90s Show.
Why they skip the 80s?
Because they took them 10 years to figure out they wanted to make a sequel. I don't know. It's gonna bring Red Foreman back somehow. I guess an old man, I guess. But you seemed oddly excited about this.
Did I?
Yeah, when I mentioned it as an idea.
I don't remember that.
For the show.
I just think if they bring in a lot of the actors back, that's just a really cool thing. I mean,
right.
That 70s Show is one of those shows that
I watched a lot of it.
You could just put it on, and it was almost like you could tell the actors were having a lot of fun.
Yes.
I feel like there may be moments where they kept in them like laughing when they shouldn't.
Well, do you think like they're doing like the scenes where they're getting high and stuff, and there's a lot of that stuff.
Laughing, like almost like an SNL type feel when the guest or whoever or whatever just kind of laughs because they're really buying into whatever's happening around them. And I think the humor of that show is amazing. Like a lot of the they do a lot of like the inner monologue playing while the character's kind of like standing there.
Yes.
And like they're reacting to that inner monologue, but it's like over the top and long, and they go back.
Right, and be like, I don't think that's true. He's like, I think that's true, and that stuff is good. That the show is funny, like it's legit, like, and it tackled like it was set in the 70s. I didn't have any context for what the life in the 70s was, and I still thought the show was great. Yeah, but like it ultimately tackled teenage problems. That
and just had stereotypical family stuff and teenage problems, like the dad and the son, and just like not seeing eye to eye, and
the mom,
2 different generations. The mom overbearing,
super sweet, always like the friends. Yeah. I don't know if I'll watch it, but I'm excited that they are willing to try.
Well, I mean, they made another Boy Meets World show, and I don't think you watched.
Here's the thing, fuck that. But here's the thing. What's interesting is that this show is now set far enough away from the 90s as the 70s show was set from the 70s at the time.
That's hard to wrap your head.
Yeah, Jeremy's like, I'm leaving. So I think that's the coolest. That's the coolest little like tidbit of that whole thing. That is like that's why they're doing it, because it's the right like distance and time. People, the Gen Zs of the world will be like, won't watch the show, but they'll we'll make them. they'll get to appreciate what life in the 90s was like. Okay. Couple quick items here before we leave. Warner Bros. Is reportedly working on a Super Smash Brothers style fighting game with their IP. So think of things like DC and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, a million other things. Hard to wrap your head around how you do that and hit the right tone. But I'm all for all these different like conglomerates that own a bunch of characters. Throw them in a Smash style game. The formula's there. Yeah. Make it fun. Give me characters that I couldn't play in Smash. And then maybe one day you get some sort of like conglomerate game that like brings them all together.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
We gotta be grateful for Ultimate. I mean, it was got 85 characters or something like that.
You saying you don't want 200 something characters? Impossible to balance. You can't do it. It can't be done.
Right.
Yeah. The game speaking of Ultimate, already not balanced. So it doesn't really matter. Anything you like? Is there a specific character you'd love to see?
Yeah, I mean, when you see the Batman, the Superman, I just think of Green Lantern. I think would be for myself would be.
So you do cool. You do the 7, the Justice League 7.
Yeah,
probably.
You get the full Justice League roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just talking how the character is just so much more appealing and widespread than the Nickelodeon All-Stars.
Right. Yeah.
That just gives it that epic feel. Whereas even Nickelodeon has some Ninja Turtles characters, but we're not like really itching to play it. But I think the look of it's kind of throwing me off, and just I guess my bias towards Smash maybe.
Well, I mean, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, there's the PlayStation All Stars. That game, although I love PlayStation, love Smash. I barely even touched it. Couldn't care less. Like I really.
But I know that Nickelodeon is like the developers are like fans of the Smash series, and really taking it seriously, and I think HBox, Hungrybox, a known Smash streamer and competitor.
He's jumped
still
over?
doing it. I think he's like helping them develop it and whatnot. I think he might have been the one who leaked this new Warner Brothers fighting game, which is pretty funny.
That is funny because it's like, what are they just going to the streamers and be like, tell me what you think?
I should. I mean, these people know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then shout out to Landon, still here with us. It probably should be in bed, but we have a Smash tournament this weekend.
Whoop whoop. What, do you guys have a team name or something?
No, it's all singles. We're doing Melee and Ultimate. I think he sent me our bracket. I think we're seated in the first
This is your
bracket.
nephew?
Yeah. So we'll be playing each other.
You guys are seated already?
Yeah.
Was there a play-in at all?
What do you mean?
Was it like how did you get seated and wait based on what?
I don't know. You just sign up on the Discord thing. I think there's like 100 entrants, something like that.
That's pretty cool.
So that'll be exciting?
Is it in person this
Yeah, it's an in-person venue.
Where is it?
I don't know. I think it's somewhere in
undisclosed
I
location.
think it's somewhere in Windsor Park, I believe.
Okay.
I mean,
okay. Like a
I
library
tend to just,
or something.
register these things the day before.
Yeah, just show up, get your ass kicked, and then leave.
Landon signed me all up and got it all like kind of official. So
well, hey,
it's in Winnipeg.
Okay,
right. Just remember.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, good luck to you guys. We'll be rooting for you. I know the TOB fandom will be rooting for you as well. We mentioned that it has been a decade since Uncharted 3. It's also been a decade since Batman Arkham Arkham City, the better game. Depends on who you ask.
Very debatable.
Batman Arkham Asylum, very much a Metroidvania style game. I just finished. Speaking
hard to top that.
Just played and beat Metroid Dread, and that game is perfect in my opinion. It's so good. If you haven't played, if you God, you gotta play it. So I'll lend it to you. And then I'll just quickly touch on what we've been watching. We talked on Dune a little bit. I also went to see this weekend The French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie in theater. Jeremy, this is a movie crowd I'm not used to seeing. I go to see movies. I go to see a lot of movies in the movie theater.
You know your crowds.
It's often young people that are there to go see the new Marvel movie or whatever new action movie, whatever. Right
now, it felt like you're at like a Gold-Eyes game. Like
I felt like I was the youngest person there probably, and we sat down next. So we're in this interesting phase of reopening here with the COVID, where for a while the movie theater seats were like you had to be separated like next to each other. But now because you're vaxxed going in, you have to prove that. They've gotten rid of that, so you can sit full rows now. Right? We sat down in our seats. The couple next to us got up and left. Just got up and left.
They're appalled that you sat beside them.
I guess these are assigned seats. These are assigned seats.
But most of the theaters will have like bubbles around you. They won't have
some. Not like there's. I guess because of the limited seating in these like recliner style seats, you just can't really afford it.
True.
So anyway, I saw the movie. I don't think it's his best movie. I love Wes Anderson stuff. This is basically like three short films with like a wrapper around them. And they're all very Wes Anderson-y. They have the usual cast of characters. A lot of, actually, speaking of characters, a lot of actors that you recognize from James Bond, the most recent James Bond, were in it. Lea Seydoux. Who's the guy with the scar over his eye? What's his name? Blofeld. Christoph Waltz is in it. Anyway, there's Leiter. Jeffrey Wright.
That's cool.
Jeffrey Wright's in it.
Not quite selling me here, but
Jeffrey. Okay, so I don't want to spoil anything because it's just the same stuff that you'd expect from a Wes Anderson movie. Jeremy, do you like Wes Anderson stuff?
Yeah, I mean, he peaked with Royal Tenenbaums. That's okay.
It's been like 20 years since that movie. This movie's very fun, but it's not his best work, and that's okay. He's just missing that little bit of cohesion. He just wanted to tell a couple short stories. There's one really good one with Javier Bardem as the lead, and he's playing this artist who's convicted of murder and is in a prison and invents modern art. It's very cool. It's very cool in a Wes Anderson way. So I would say if you like Wes Anderson at all, go check it out. And if not, you can probably miss it. Jeremy, you started Titan season 3. Give me your initial impressions.
It's just kind of slowly declining. This
oh no!
series.
Oh no! It's worse than season 2.
Maybe.
Oh no, Jeremy! No!
I mean, the only cool thing is they have someone as Scarecrow.
Oh, cool.
It's an actor who I recognize from Mad Men, and he's tied closely with Red Hood and everything kind of going on with that character, who's essentially the overarching villain. The entire.
Does he have the little tube head look?
It's just like a red mask thing.
It's a shame. I really like when they lean into the tube head look.
But yeah, everything's. I still like the music. I still like the aesthetic, the colors, the edit, all that's there. But I'm just not.
You're just not
into the
not
story.
grabbing
Like
you.
the red. It's just.
We've seen it. It's been told.
We've seen it.
It's like
it's
you're
pretty,
really,
things are pretty serious here. Like there's characters dying. And,
oh shit.
A lot of consequence coming out of this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been announced that season 4.
Oh, there's a 4th season coming.
Is coming. All the actors were pretty excited about.
Except
that.
for the ones who were murdered, obviously.
Yeah, but they find a way.
I mean, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. So I mean, give it a shot. I would say just kind of pay attention to the Scarecrow character, and I think it's a cool different approach on the character, and I appreciate that at the very least.
That is shocking that Scarecrow is jumping out as you is like the most exciting part of this. I think.
It's just different,
but
it's
in a good way. But
unique,
that's good. I'm into it. I'm glad.
Like he smokes weed and every now and then. Scarecrow.
Oh really?
It's kind of funny.
That's
like
the fear toxin.
And he just like whips out a joint. And like he like dances around sometimes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Kind of psychedelic.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I'm gonna give it a shot eventually. I'm gonna watch it when it comes to Netflix in like 8 months or whatever. Speaking of Netflix, Jeremy, I know this is the worldwide sensation. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I want to wrap up. But
since you haven't seen it,
I haven't. Well, and I haven't seen it, so don't spoil it. But Squid Game obviously is huge.
And I typically, I don't know. It just for me, like I usually stay away from things that are super popular.
Right, because you're too cool for that.
Maybe it's that. I don't want to. It's like okay, enough. But I mean, I think it just being around Halloween, and I just like heard of this show and how like kind of eerie it was, and just the look of it really grabbed me. With these red guards and like the shapes,
right,
and how it looked like PlayStation symbols.
To me, it's the show. I've watched the first episode.
Right,
the show really has a feel of like anime brought to life, like all those kind of larger than life things that are, and the way that people emote, and of course it's in Korean, so it's not traditional Japanese anime, but I feel like there's a lot of inspiration from that type of feel. For me, that's how I kind of saw it from that first episode.
Yeah, I mean, I like there's obviously a discourse between dubbed and subtitles ever since Parasite.
Right. I think that's been settled though, right?
Well, no, because there's a lot of people on this planet, and they just
they just don't want to read.
Everyone is, So and I think a lot of people stream things and go on their phone. I think that's another reason why I don't really like tune into a lot of things, because I think my attention, isn't.
So it has. You need to watch foreign stuff now.
It's not that. It definitely lends to the fact that you need to pay attention. You need to read, and through that, I found the acting here to be incredible, which disappoints me when I hear people watching it dubbed, because it just strips away a massive amount of the what's supposed to be stimulating you here.
Yeah.
And what these actors are working so hard at doing. So I love just kind of looking at these people, not understanding a word that they're saying.
Right.
But getting so much from their infliction and just the way they're saying things, their emotions they're bringing, and even if the translation in the simple English words are maybe an oversimplification, I get that.
It's coming
through.
Then
I watch.
Right. Yeah. It's coming
and then
through.
like, holy shit, like this is hitting hard. And the way all these characters are developed is very good.
So here's the thing. I watched the first episode dubbed. Now I know this is a mistake. I didn't want to do that. Yeah. The dubbing is brutal. The acting is bad.
Right.
Like bad.
Yes.
Now, the tone that comes across when you watch the dubbed is that it's very silly. That everything that's happening here is silly as fuck. But I get the sense that it's not necessarily that way.
No, it's a very serious stuff here. The characters that the main character is just like, it may be played off as like this kind of humor that this guy is like a deadbeat.
Right.
But then you really get to understand this character and the heart that he has, and through the trials and tribulations of this random kind of game show, if you will, this opportunity that presents itself.
Right, of getting slapped a bunch of times, right?
Well, that's to initially get in.
Yes.
And a lot of the characters they all have flaws. Like obviously many people, nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
Here, it makes sense how this world is built and why these characters find themselves in the position that they're in, and just how this game unravels is just so shocking and exciting to see where it goes, and the theories you develop along the way, and the connections, and the eeriness of the music, the original score, the visuals of it, all the deeper meanings behind certain visuals and aspects of the game. A lot of foreshadowing here that some you may pick up on, some you may not until after it's all said and done. And you favor certain characters, you see their motivations when other people don't. There's a lot of interesting things and side characters doing stuff that you're like, why is this happening? And it's just a refreshing, everything's just refreshing about it to me. And I just love when things would just hit the fan, I would just find myself laughing, but like in a very good way. Like, holy hell!
You're just enjoying the moment.
They're pulling this off and doing this,
right?
And how you favor certain characters as it goes on, and the things that you just will not predict, especially once it gets to the end.
It's twisty.
It is awesome, because there are things that you will draw connections to and conclusions to, but there's just so much other stuff around it,
right?
And I just can't get over how good these actors are. Like, I'm obsessed with all of them.
Okay. All right. So obviously, I mean, you don't need to hear us tell you to go watch Squid Game when it's the biggest show in the world, but that doesn't convince you. I don't know what will. I still have to. I'm going to watch it. I'll probably watch it on the plane when I'm on my way to Costa Rica. So here's the thing. We're going to wrap up here. I am on my way to Costa Rica. I'll be there for a month. I leave Wednesday, so 2 days following the recording of this episode. I am going to bring a microphone, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because it all depends on schedules and all that kind of stuff. We're going to try to record. I'll see what works, what doesn't. If you don't hear from us for a while, just take a look at the Twitter at Tower Babblecast. You'll get kind of a sense of what's going on through there. And for the patrons out there, if it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to do our fair share of work, we'll pause the Patreon for a month, and that shouldn't be a problem. So just keep an eye on that. But we'll look to get as much as we can done. The film club for this month is Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, and I haven't seen either of those movies. So yeah, that's right. I haven't seen The Shining. Yeah. Shame. But this will be.
What red rum means?
I think it's murder backwards.
You think so? That's what you think. That's what you've come up with.
I'm pretty sure. Listen, I've done a lot of work on this. Okay. I think I've done anyway. Does it mean something? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay. I know I didn't. I feel like I didn't do the Wes Anderson thing. Credit. God. They're very good stories. There's one specifically about food and this cook, and I love it. It dives into this is the Jeffrey Wright one. It dives into this idea of how food connects people, but it's also lighthearted and silly in only the way Wes Anderson can do it. So I just also wanted to add that little teeny piece into that. Also, there's a Dune connection because what's his name, the little skinny kid,
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet is also in one of them, and he does I don't understand how his hair is always doing something different. Like it's so crazy, but his hair is doing crazy stuff in this movie, and he does a great performance in this as well. So if you want to see just really amazing performances and really fast, quippy dialogue, you're going to want to watch The French Dispatch in theaters now. Okay, we will be back hopefully soon with more TOB. But if you don't hear from us, like I said, check on the Twitter, and we'll talk to you soon.